I get that reference. Hello, everybody. We have started our live stream, not quite right on time, 1 minute late. That's all on me. Dave and I were talking about Wayne's World and lost track of time. How you doing today, Dave?
I am doing fantastic, Ken. How about yourself?
Pretty good. We're praying today. No rain, no technical difficulties, no acts of God during our live stream. And
And no singing from me either. Yeah, that's yeah.
all right, so let's get started. Hey, everybody. As you might know, I'm Ken Wallace from the Nexus product team. Today, I'm here with my friend Dave Rodenbaugh. Dave is the founder of Recapture.io, which is an abandoned cart email and SMS marketing service for WooCommerce, Magento, and frankly, any kind of e-commerce platform you might be using. Founded in 2015, Recapture has processed over $2 billion in gross merchant volume. So far, Recapture has helped store owners like you recover over $246 million for stores worldwide. And Dave has been doing this for quite some time. He's been a consultant for basically as long as the internet's been around. And in addition, he built and sold a couple of really successful WordPress businesses, a business directory plugin business and a classifieds plugin business. Today, Dave now works exclusively on e-commerce and has a passion for making merchants of all kinds more successful with their stores. Dave is the host of the Rogue Startup podcast and the WP Minute e-commerce show. Be sure to give him a listen wherever fine podcasts are sold. You can find Dave on Twitter dispensing super valuable advice to e-commerce store owners just like you. Hey, Dave.
Hi, Ken.
Welcome on the show today. I was reading a stat last week that said e-commerce stores last year in 2022 in the U.S. alone, consumers spent $9.12 billion on Black Friday and $11.3 billion on Cyber Monday. And experts are predicting this year is going to be even bigger. How can we help store owners get ready?
Well, that is certainly the topic of today's masterclass. And I'd like to point out those numbers are so large, it's kind of hard to fathom what that means. That is 2 days of sales, $20 billion, billion with a B, 2 days. That's insane. 65 billion over the whole holiday season, according to Adobe. That's still pretty large. But a third of that came in 2 days, 2 single days, 48 hours of the entire holiday season, 30% of the holiday volume.
It's just unimaginable.
Mm-hmm.
A huge share of that obviously is on big brand sites that you might know, like, and trust. But the portion that we're concerned about today is the portion of sales that are going to go to e-commerce stores that our viewers might be hosting, right? So we probably don't have Jeff Bezos watching us today, but what can a e-commerce store owner who's selling socks or coffee or a subscription box do to get ready for their Black Friday, Cyber Monday holiday sales?
Well, there's a checklist a mile long. And by the way, staying till the very end today, we will talk about 4 bonuses that you can get, including that checklist of all the things that you need to do to get ready. Not just the stuff that I'm going to touch on in the masterclass, although we're going to talk about some juicy stuff in the masterclass here. But there is a whole list of things. So stick around to the end. There's a big list of stuff that even if you've done Black Friday a dozen times, I guarantee you the list is so long, it's easy to forget stuff every single year. I do it all the time. That's why I wrote down the list.
Right.
And you've got to be on top of so much as a store owner this time of the year. It's so hard. But hopefully today with the masterclass, things will be a little bit easier. You'll feel a little more prepared. This is a perfect time to be looking at this stuff here. It feels like it's Wednesday, August 9th, the day of this masterclass, and it feels so incredibly early. My kids are going back to school this week. That's early. Black Friday prep, it's not that early. Okay.
Yeah.
It really isn't. I know the whole Christmas in August thing feels crazy and insane. And when you start to see those decorations at Costco, it really just nails on a chalkboard to me. But if you're an e-commerce merchant, you've got to be ready now, because October 1st is getting too late. November 1st is absolutely too late. If you're waiting until November 1st, you will suffer. Promise you.
All right.
So with that, shall we go ahead and jump in, Ken?
I think so.
All right. Well, let me share my magic stuff. All right. And we should be live. Ken, can you confirm that?
Yes.
All right.
Seeing your screen, it looks beautiful. There's a Christmas tree there. I'm starting to panic a little bit. I haven't done any shopping, Dave.
Deep breaths. Deep breaths. It's okay. Shopping is not necessary for this masterclass today. In fact, if you don't have any idea of what to get your loved ones for the holidays, trust me, I'm there with you. No clue yet, not a panic. But as a merchant, there are plenty of things that we need to prepare for. So I am going to walk you through today stuff that I have learned as the owner of Recapture over the last 6 years, and all of the Black Fridays that we've processed as Recapture as an email marketing company. And also the 6 years before that, where I was in e-commerce, actually living and breathing this just like you are, or going to be this year. So let's talk about all of this stuff and let's get you ready. And for those that are curious, yes, it is going to be that kind of over-the-top Christmas presentation here, because you are going to remember this for hopefully weeks to come. This was that crazy presentation given by that guy in August. Yeah. All right. As Ken said, my name is Dave Rodenbaugh. I am the founder of Recapture. If you look at my Twitter profile, someone way more clever than I am came up with the idea of being the wizard of the dark carts. So I like that title because there's a little bit of a magical feeling to recovering people that abandon from your store. But just being good at email marketing in general is a difficult talent to acquire and practice, just like it is to be a wizard in the Harry Potter wizarding world. So let's talk about all of that stuff today. But before we get started here, let's dive in with a poll. So Ken, throw up our first audience question, if you will.
Audience question number 1 is, how many Black Friday, Cyber Monday seasons have you been through with your store?
So how many has it been for you, Ken? So for me, in terms of e-commerce, it's been about 6, another 6 with Recapture. So that puts me at 12 total.
Yeah, it's been in the dozens because being a consultant for a lot of different e-commerce stores over the years, plus I've had 3 of my own. Yeah, it's been a lot of Black Friday, Cyber Monday seasons for me.
Yeah, yeah. And let's see what's rolling in on the chat here. All right, folks, don't be shy out there. Let us know how many you've been through.
I know there are, we do have some visitors today and viewers today, but they're shy in the chat. Let's just assume that if you're watching today, you're a store owner and you've been through a few holiday seasons already.
Well, no worries on that. So regardless of how many you've been through, whether this is your first time or you are a seasoned veteran at this point, we've got a little something for all of you here. And when you think of Black Friday, Ken, what images does that conjure in your mind?
Long lines waiting for the doors to open for the sale to get the doorbuster item. And then yeah, just trying to get the best deal on gifts for loved ones.
Yeah, yeah. For a lot of people, it's about getting stuff for the holidays, loading up on all the presents for your favorite holiday, whether it's Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or Christmas or whatever, and making sure that you've got all that stuff early and in advance, usually before the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. For a lot of folks, if you remember, and this still happens today, but to a lesser extent now that e-commerce has really penetrated the way that it has in worldwide sales, there were lines outside of these big box stores like Best Buy, or if you remember Circuit City back in the day, usually about getting some very large doorbuster item, something that was advertised at an unreasonably low price that they always had limited quantities of. So they were trying to get everybody to show up early. And these things usually, this is a very orderly scene here. This is what I tend to think of on Black Friday here, where you've got these two Target employees trying to keep people from tearing each other apart, which is a sad state of affairs in e-commerce. But in general, this scene is less in this day and age with e-commerce. And now, instead of having like the long lines outside of stores, we just have IT professionals that are very nervous about the server crushing traffic that are coming in here. But regardless of which way you want to think about it, there's a lot of people that are thinking about this stuff and doing a lot. This is the name Black Friday came from the fact that in accounting, this was the first day that many stores actually went from being in the red or losing money to being in the black or making money. And like we just said, $65 billion got processed last year in purchases for the holiday season. 20 of that happened on 2 days alone. So that is insane. This day is super important in e-commerce. It is literally the Super Bowl of e-commerce, if you want to go for American sports analogies. So let's start off with a quick little story about Black Fridays in the past here. So this one is from somebody who ran an electronics department in a large retail store. And they were, of course, a veteran to Black Fridays of big box stores of the past. Their team always had everything under control. They would issue tickets for stuff that would sell out quickly. They knew exact numbers of their inventory, where things were located, signs for hourly lineups on the deals. They were totally prepared, rarely had issues on this stuff. So one year, the district manager, cue dramatic music as the pointy-haired boss walks in, right? They decided to observe the store during Black Friday, and she stopped by the department in the thick of it to see how things were going. And it was insanely busy, of course, but everything was being well managed. And she had a piece of paper, and she told me there were some unadvertised markdowns for old inventory. Want. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. So this, of course, was news to this poor manager. And she glanced at the list, grabbed the phone from this guy, and made a store-wide announcement that they had digital camcorders marked down to $49, regular price $200. And of course, she makes this announcement. The poor manager is standing there with his jaw open. A sense of fear comes over him. The model that was just marked down, they had it in inventory. They only had 4 available. The store was packed, and this fast-moving zombie horde of customers is coming at the manager at this point, swamping the department from all sides. Imagine Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, but with like angry shoppers, and that's exactly what happened. And of course, as soon as the horde sweeps over the department, guess what? District manager hightails it out of there. So that is not the kind of Black Friday I want anybody to be having here online in your store this year. But I will say that we have a problem with Black Friday, and that is there's a sameness about it. Everybody's kind of doing the same things, the same promotions, the same language, same everything. It's become formulaic. And I don't blame anybody who's used the formulas here, because I will say that in general, the formulas have been proven to work. But the problem with repeating them on Black Friday is that you're in a sea of promotions, a sea of other stores. You're in the customer's inbox, and they are being swamped, overwhelmed with hundreds, if not thousands of emails. I don't know about you, Ken, but all of the stores that I subscribe to start sending me Black Friday stuff, and my inbox is so noisy, I have to shuttle all of that stuff off to a special folder for promotions alone. I don't run this in Gmail, so I don't have a promotions tab, but it's just insane. That folder fills up hundreds of emails a day, every single day. Is that as bad as yours?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Black Friday's formula here doesn't really work. Okay. It's not enough for you to do that anymore. It's okay to start with that, but you can do better. So here's an idea of what that magic formula might look like. And I will focus on abandoned cart emails here. Now, why am I doing abandoned cart emails? Abandoned cart emails are the number one revenue generating, highest customer converting email that you can send from any store out there. Recapture, we do these. This is our bread and butter. We know them inside and out. And so I have a lot of data about abandoned cart emails, and I see a lot of people's best practices on abandoned cart emails. And I see a lot of merchants that execute their abandoned cart emails. We'll call it charitably mediocre. Okay. And the problem isn't that they're sending abandoned cart emails, because that's a good thing, but it's that they're not going outside of the little box that everybody kind of draws around them. So what does that magic formula tend to look like? Well, if you're being reasonable about it, you'll be sending around 3 emails. I see a lot of merchants that also send only 1 email. That's a whole different discussion. You shouldn't be doing just that. But the 3 email sequence looks kind of like this. The first one comes out and says, "Hey, we've saved your cart for you. Please buy our stuff." And then some period of time later, maybe a few hours, maybe it's a day, you say, "Are you sure you don't want to buy it? Hey, look, we've got a discount for you. Cool. Here's X% off. Please buy our stuff." And then some period of time later, maybe it's another day, maybe it's a couple of days, maybe it's a week. Then you get the panic email, the fear of missing out. You put in some scarcity, often false scarcity. "Your discount is expiring. Please, please, please buy our stuff." The problem is that that's a very tired way to do this. And it's not, again, it's not that it's bad, and it's not that it won't work a lot of the time, but with Black Friday, everybody's doing this. You don't stand out. You don't look any different. And it becomes a very easily ignored way to send emails. And I'll tell you right now that for the 2 biggest days in e-commerce, sending this won't make you the kind of money in your store that you probably are expecting to make. Okay. So another poll. Ken, throw up our second audience question there.
Okay. Question number 2. Do you run the same abandoned cart campaigns all year long, including Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Or do you do something different for the holidays here? I know, Dave, on the last question, that we did have responses roll in like 30 seconds after we moved on from the question. So maybe we'll give them a little bit extra time today.
Okay, cool. Great. Yeah, no problem.
In response to our first question, Mark in the chat says that they are going on their 3rd time at Stories Rule Press. So the 3rd
Cool.
Black Friday.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you this year, Mark. I hope it goes well. It sounds like you've had a couple of rounds there to kind of figure things out.
Mark says, unfortunately, this year, yes, they're running the same abandoned cart campaigns all year long.
Oh, I won't spoil this just yet.
I'm sure there's a lot of stores in the same boat, because it just feels like so much extra work sometimes, right? You've got all the things to think about. This is one of those things that's real easy to slip through the cracks, it feels like.
Yeah. And, I will be the first to tell you that, email marketing tends to be one of those things. Every store owner knows, I should be working on this more. I should be doing more with it. But the reality often turns into, I've got inventory issues. I've got customer support. There's supply chain problems. I need to handle shipping and packing, or maybe there's some human resources issues going on.
Mm-hmm.
So the email marketing is always burning in the back of your mind, but it rarely hits number 1, because there's always these more burning things going on. So I totally get that. I totally get that. All right. So we'll go ahead and move on here at this point. But so Mark said he hasn't been running anything other than his standard abandoned cart campaigns. And I will be the first to tell you that this is a very common thing. You're not alone on this one. But I would encourage you this year to look at this differently and add some specific ones that are Black Friday or holiday specific. And we'll talk about what that looks like here as we move on. All right. So in my opinion, when you're doing your abandoned cart recovery, the biggest mistake that you're going to make in Black Friday right here is running the same campaigns as the rest of the year. Now, why is that a big mistake? Well, the problem is you have abandoned cart campaigns that are probably timed very differently for a regular sale than they would be for Black Friday. Black Friday is a very tight window, right? It is a very short period of time. If you're doing a sale for just Black Friday, that's 24 hours. If you're doing your regular sales thing, you're probably giving them maybe a week to think about their abandoned cart and send them emails. You can't send emails a week after Black Friday and say, hey, come back and finish your purchase. It's too late. The sale is over. So what can you do? So let's talk about some things that can change this. All right. Now, again, your abandoned cart emails are the highest impact, highest revenue generating contact you have with your customers. Getting them right is really critical. You can do optimization of a lot of different emails, but if you haven't even done your abandoned carts, this is the great place to start. Okay. So your abandoned cart emails should be overcoming objections. That's first and foremost. So what are those objections in your abandoned cart emails? So these are stats that come from the Baymard Institute. They're like sort of the big think tank of e-commerce, and they've been releasing these stats since the early 2000s. I don't even remember when they started tracking.
They're
this
amazing.
Stuff.
They do so much research.
Yeah. So there's an URL at the bottom of these slides right here that you can go check. It's baymard.com/list/cart abandonment rate. And the top 5 reasons for this haven't changed a lot over time. Extra costs are too high, so customers get surprised by things like fees or shipping or maybe what the taxes are, stuff like that. A quarter of the accounts don't like the fact that they're required to create an account just to check out. Almost 20% say it's too long to check out. Maybe you put too many steps in there. The pricing is unclear, so you have a price on the page, but when it shows up in the cart, it looks different. They don't like that. Or maybe you just aren't that kind of a trustworthy looking store. Your site looks old, it looks dated, it doesn't work well, it's got some quirky stuff going on there. Makes it seem like you are a fly-by-night operation, or they just don't know if they can trust you or not. You have to make sure that all of that stuff is handled in addition to whatever product specific stuff is holding them back from buying in the first place. Okay. So those are all things that you have to overcome in your abandoned cart emails. Now, let's layer on top of that. That's just general abandoned cart stuff. You have special Black Friday stuff in addition to that. You've got timing. I already mentioned the length of the sale is very, very tight. You may be running more than one sale during that whole window. You'll have Black Friday. You might have Small Business Saturday. You might do an extension on Sunday, have Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. That's 5 different events, or 4 different events, depending on how you want to count that, in a 5-day window. That's a lot. That means that your abandoned cart emails have to mirror that urgency in that sale as well. And speaking of urgency here, you've got to tell them the sale is ending soon, the offer is closing now, the discount won't be valid after this time, midnight, in this time zone. Are you communicating that clearly in your emails? Your abandoned cart emails are the perfect place to do that. A lot of people don't do that very well. You've also got to consider, do I have enough inventory to cover the sale? If I offer the equivalent of a doorbuster online, will I have enough to satisfy that demand if 50% of my list decides that they want to buy it? Or if I'm going to do a bundle, do I have enough inventory to make enough of those bundles to satisfy all the people that bought? If this is your first Black Friday, how do you figure all that stuff out, right? And if it isn't your first Black Friday, is my last year's data going to be enough to tell me what the prediction looks like this year, especially if you're offering a new bundle, right? This is hard stuff. And of course, the classic question, will it get there on time? That is the number one question that is always on every consumer's mind. Every time I order something, I want to know, is it going to be here in time for the holidays? Will I get it so that I can give it to my loved ones before I need it. Okay. Those are all special considerations for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday holiday season. So when you're talking about Black Friday and e-commerce, typically this means that you are offering a higher discount than you normally do. It means that you have a tighter timeline on the sale itself. And it also means because you have higher volume of shoppers, it's going to mean more abandoned carts. So your abandoned cart emails must be dialed in with all of this in mind. You've got a few emails to convince them that you know what you're doing, they're going to like what they're buying, and it's going to meet their expectations. So how can you do all of that in 3 simple emails? Okay. So here's what I would do differently compared to your regular abandoned cart sequence for Black Friday. Okay. So number 1, don't use your existing abandoned cart emails. You must make special ones for Black Friday. Now, can you reuse those for multiple different sales? Absolutely. Change the text so that it doesn't say necessarily Black Friday, or just duplicate some campaigns so you got one for Black Friday, one for Small Business Saturday, one for Cyber Monday, one for Giving Tuesday. Okay. That's relatively easy to do. We can set that up and recapture very easily. Other email tools allow you to duplicate those campaigns, do a quick search and replace. You're done. You have to create new campaigns. You have to make sure that the timing is appropriate. You can't just send it at an hour and then a day later and then 3 days later or a week later. You got to time it according to the sale, really, really tight. So that's tip number 2. If you are starting on Black Friday, so here's an example. The sale starts at midnight on Black Friday itself, ends at 11:59 p.m. the next day. Your cart emails have to go out and be done before the sale ends. If you're sending 3 emails, I would recommend sending them on a cadence of like 1 hour or maybe even shorter, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, then 2 hours and 4 hours and done. And schedule the campaign so that when the sale stops, the emails stop. So if somebody's in the middle of that and they didn't get their purchase complete and the sale is done, they don't get any more emails from that. You have to schedule them all very, very tightly to make that work. Number 3, this is the time of the year that you should not be timid about sending email. I hear this objection over and over and over from merchants. Oh, I don't want to bug them. Oh, I'm afraid of sending too much email. Oh, I'm afraid it's just not going to move the needle if I send a lot of email. That is all a bunch of lies. I have the data and the receipts to prove it. If you look at the standard most of the year campaigns for everybody in recapture, merchants who send 1 email will make X dollars on average. Merchants who send 3 emails, they make at least 2x or more, sometimes 3 and 4x of the dollars that the merchants who send 1. That's during the rest of the year. Black Friday, you should be sending more. Like if you normally send 3 emails, I might recommend going for 5. Okay. This is the time to be aggressive. You have to send as many as you can that you feel comfortable with. You've got to send them often. And you can't just sound like everybody else. You've got to get creative. And there are plenty of examples out there to do that. I'll include some in our bonuses at the very end of this here, because that's a subject unto itself. All right. Now, there is a whole other discussion here about discounts. So let's do a quick poll again about discounts. Ken, throw up our audience question.
All right. Question number 3 for the audience. How big of a discount are you offering this Black Friday?
Now, while we're waiting for other folks to chime in here, Ken, I know that you have run a subscription coffee store, and what have you done in the past for your discounts on Black Friday? Or have you done that at all?
I have to admit, I've never run a Black Friday sale on the coffee store. Not even one time.
Interesting.
Not
Interesting.
even once.
Okay.
This year's going to be different. So every time I think about it, it's Black Friday, and I'm thinking, oh man, I forgot to set this up again. Right? And that store has been online for what, 5 years? Yeah, it's a lot embarrassing. some of it is the shoemaker's kids have the worst shoes, right? So like for years I was in agency land helping other e-commerce stores do their campaigns. And when you get home at night and you've got your side businesses or whatever, sometimes it's just easier to not work on them. So there's a little of that going on too.
It's easier to not work on them 100% of the time than it is to work on them.
Correct.
To paraphrase a John Mulaney quote on one of his routines. Yeah, so I see some answers.
Two responses in the chat.
Yeah.
One is haven't decided yet from Mark, and we've got a undecided as well. So I feel like I'm in good company. I'm not the only one who hasn't got it all figured out with their Black Friday discounts.
Yes, yes. And let me say that again, this is not an uncommon thing that you're unsure of what kind of a discount to offer. So we'll talk about this, but the specifics are, first of all, you need to know your numbers. So if you attended our masterclass back in June, I talk about how discounting impacts your profitability. And so, Ken, we're definitely going to share that link with this masterclass, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So for those
if you
of
want
you
to see
that
the replay of that, just go to nexus.net/live, and you'll see a link right there to watch the replay of the discounting masterclass that we just did.
Yes. Excellent. So I'm not going to cover all of that stuff today because that was the whole hour's discussion as well. But you have to know your numbers to know what discounts you can profitably offer and what kind of rebuy rates or purchase frequency you get from your customers. That's very store specific. And so there's no blanket answer that I can give for that. But here's what I can tell you about the discounts. Black Friday is special. Customers expect something unique. So if, for example, you don't discount any of the rest of the year, this is a great time to offer a discount at all. If you normally offer a 10% discount, you can't offer that same kind of discount over Black Friday. You gotta go bigger than that. It has to be special. So when you're thinking about it, think that it has to be special. Now, there are non-discounting ways that you can offer deals on Black Friday. So there are things like buy one, get one, or buy one, gift one, or offering bundles, or you can send special resources that you wouldn't normally do, or you can do, one of the things that we do in Recapture this time of the year, it's not a Black Friday thing because nobody buys stuff from us on Black Friday. Everybody's selling stuff on Black Friday. But before Black Friday, we offer discounts on things that we would not normally discount at all. So that is another thing that you can do. So those are the kinds of things that you want to think about for this sort of discount here. All right. So how would I write emails that are different for Black Friday here? There's lots of questions to think about on this, and I'm not going to give you specific emails in this class. Those are part of the bonuses. So, and that's intentional because we could sit here and break down all the emails, but I want you to look at this from more of a strategic perspective today. And the tactics are really the email templates that you'll get in the bonuses. Don't just apply the best practices blindly. Stop and ask yourself some important questions. What is the lifetime value of the customers that come in on a discount versus the customers that don't? And if you had to guess, Ken, which one is going to be more valuable based on our discounting masterclass from June?
The lifetime value is going to be better for the customers that don't come in on a discount.
Absolutely. And we showed a lot of math on why that is the case. All right.
Yeah.
So it sounds kind of obvious. When you look at the math, it becomes even more painfully obvious than that. But ask yourself the question, is this discount really necessary? Did people come and buy from me because of the discount? Or did I just give away some of my profit margin to people that would have bought anyway, and they needed some more time to decide? Or they needed something to knock them off the fence, and the discount just happened to do that, but it could have been something else, right?
Yeah.
Is price their biggest objection, or was there really something else? They had a question that they needed to answer. There was a resource they really wanted and they finally found, and that's why they bought. The discount was just a nice nudge, and they're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take that too. And lastly, is there another way that you can answer the price concern instead of just discounting the product? So when someone says you're too expensive, is the problem your price, or are you just not communicating enough value? Let's talk about what that looks like. All right. Discounting is not always the answer. So ask yourself some questions about how you can go deeper on the message in your abandoned cart emails. You can do this in a lot of other emails. You can do it on your win-backs. You can do it on your post-purchase emails. You can do it on your broadcasts. I'm focusing again on the abandoned carts because they are the highest revenue, highest point of contact, highest likelihood to convert on your store. So here's a great one. You want to offer free shipping to your customers. Don't just give free shipping to everybody. Offer it at a threshold. Have they hit the free shipping threshold? Great. Send them the thing that says, hey, you've got the free shipping. Complete your order now. Are they close to the free shipping threshold? Send them an email that says, hey, you're really close. If you add this much more to your cart, you can get free shipping. Customers go crazy for free shipping. I specifically look for products that ship for free. I'm in e-commerce. I know the math behind this. I know all of these things, and yet this tactic works on me every single time. How about you, Ken? Does it work on you?
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're telling people that there are plugins that will help you do this depending on what platform you're on.
Absolutely.
But if you're telling people, hey, you're $5 away from free shipping, don't just leave that there with a call to action to go back to the site and find something for $5. Give them some suggestions of products that would push them over the limit.
Yeah.
Maybe something for $6, right?
Which is the number 2 suggestion I've got here. They've put something in the cart. My guess is if you've been selling for more than a year, you probably know some things that might go good with that. Yep. And you can add those as products we recommend with X in that email. Easy to do. It's a cross sell. It pushes their average order value up and it gets them over that free shipping threshold. So everybody wins. Now, one of the things that I've noticed a lot of merchants do, and I've been guilty of this in the past myself, so you're not alone. We tend to just tell people, hey, our store is the best. We offer the best value. Please buy our stuff. Yeah, but who cares, really? I'll tell you who cares. Customers care if somebody else vouches for your store. So if Ken says, I'm the best, that's more compelling than if I come out and tell you I'm the best. Okay. User-generated content. This is reviews. This is social proof. If you're a fan of Robert Cialdini and his influence marketing book. And all of this is something that makes a huge difference to customers. If you have testimonials and reviews on your site, whether they're directly ones that you've collected or they come from a third party or they're from Yelp or Google or whatever, put them in your email. People love to know that somebody else bought this, they had a good experience, and that means that they can trust you. Okay. You need to create fear of missing out by doing something more than just saying the lame, your cart is expiring, please buy our stuff right now. Okay. Create an email that says, here are the top reasons people buy our product. So if you're selling candles, people buy that product for a lot of different reasons. They want their house to smell better. They want to create a festive atmosphere. They want to have something that reminds people of the holidays or has a scent that has a particular meaning to them. Tell people what other people are using your product for. Let them self-identify what those things are that they themselves might be looking for in here. People don't always articulate that stuff on a conscious level. It's a subtle emotional, psychological impact. And you can use these things to nudge people off the fence. And again, this has nothing to do with discounts. Now, you want to look beyond the surface stuff that you tend to put in abandoned cart emails here. All right. So this means deeply understanding your customers' actual objections. You have to understand what are the top reasons that they hesitate to buy from you. Is it because your shipping times are too long? Is it because the product looks complicated? Is it because they're not sure how to contact your support? Is it because There's something about the sizing in your product that they're not really sure about if you're selling wearables, okay? These are things that you can communicate very easily in your emails. Put that stuff up front. Don't make your customers hunt for it. Just put those objections right up there and what you do to overcome them in the place that is easiest for them to find. Plaster it everywhere. Put it in every abandoned cart email. Put it in the post-purchase emails because people are going to ask you those questions. Take the burden off of your support, okay? Now, another way, and I hinted at this earlier, is that some customers will look at you and say, oh, that's really expensive. But instead of just offering them the discount, which it works, but it doesn't necessarily overcome the objection, you got to demonstrate that you have a higher value than this thing that they're comparing you against. So here's my example that I was using yesterday when Ken and I were doing a rehearsal. And that is, let's say you're selling backpacks and you've got a backpack that is twice as expensive as your closest competitor. But the competitor's backpack is, quite frankly, it's a piece of junk. It was something that was, it was a knockoff. It was purchased off of Alibaba. It was poorly constructed. Sure, it's cheap, but it falls apart in a year. And yours, people have been using it and they rave about the fact that they've been taking it up mountains and they've been hauling it on backpack trips, or maybe they've been going on long distance travel around the world. And it just stands the test of time. That's a communication of value. Your backpack actually looks like a hugely more beneficial purchase compared to the other one if they're going to fall apart in a year and you're going to last a lifetime. That's the kind of stuff you need to communicate in an email. Putting in your FAQs that you have for support. You have FAQs, right? If you don't have FAQs, there's a tip. Create FAQs, frequently asked questions from your support questions. You can dig this up. I guarantee you've got at least 5 that you're constantly answering. You should put those in FAQs, put them on your website, put them in your emails. That's the stuff that allows you to go deeper on your messaging. In order to make this work, because remember, this is the highest volume day of the year, you've got to personalize this email at scale with the right message at the right time. That's how you're going to win on Black Friday. That's how your customers are going to be happy about the purchase. That's how they're going to know, like, and trust you. That's the sequence of events everybody has to go through on social media. It's what they have to go through in order to trust you as a vendor, okay? So what are some other non-abandoned cart things that we need to be thinking about here? Because I focused a lot on abandoned cart emails, and they are super important, but believe me, that is not the entire list. And again, end of this thing, we have 4 bonuses. The checklist in that bonuses are going to include these things that I am discussing here, plus a bunch more. And I promise you there's a lot, okay? So first of all, this is a favorite of almost every freelancer or agency that I've talked to, people that are experts in email marketing. They love segments. They tell you segment, 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 send all these hyper-personalized messages. And I'm here to tell you that segmenting is good, over-segmenting is bad. And when you are getting started with segmenting, complicating it is really, really bad because you're going to have a hard time figuring this out. If you are running more than 2 segments and you're making less than $2 million a year, you're probably wasting your time on your segments. Hot take from Dave, okay? So what should those segments be? Buyers, previous buyers, and non-buyers. If you want to go a little crazy, because sometimes you really know who these people are, go for the VIPs. Maybe those are your high volume buyers or the high frequency buyers, okay? Those are the ones that I would recommend. No more than 3, 2 is enough. Segment and send the messages according to those segments. I promise you that will go a long way in just making your emails much more relatable, depending on whether somebody is a new customer or whether they have already purchased from you, okay? Now, what about your pop-ups? You've got all of these emails that we're talking about here. We're talking about all of the sales that are going to have starting at midnight and ending at midnight the following day. Have you configured all of your pop-ups to show the same discount, to have the same language, to disable or enable for the sales at the same rate? It doesn't matter which one you have installed. You should be able to schedule these things across the site. Make sure you aren't running 3 or 4 of them. Keep it simple. Make it easy. Don't make your customers have to hunt your discounts down. If you're offering something, put it out there. Make your customers happy. Make them feel like you consider them to be important. So keep your pop-up simple. Make sure they align to your sales and keep the messaging consistent. And here's another one here. This gets back to the discounts poll that we talked about earlier. On Black Friday, your offer should be compelling. So what do I mean by that? Compelling means if you're offering a discount the rest of the year, it should be considerably bigger. Okay. And again, run your numbers, make sure that it works. Whether it's free shipping thresholds, where you say, if you have a cart that's this big, I'll give you free shipping. That's a totally reasonable thing to do. Or you could say, on this high margin item, we're going to give you a discount of 20%, where normally it's 10%. But because it's a high margin item, maybe you're making 60, 70% on that item. That discount isn't that hard to absorb. But make it compelling. You've got to make it so that people want to come to your site and do that. So I see discounts here go from the 10 to 20% range up to the 30 to 50% range. Sometimes they'll get up, depending if your discounting is a strategy, like if you're an Old Navy or something like that, I see the discounts get as high as 75, 80%. And that's pretty crazy, but Old Navy's working on these, insanely high margin products and high volume sales. You might not be working in that same space. So keep in mind that your numbers should dictate the discount. But again, watch that other masterclass that we have on how discounting affects your profitability. We had 10 specific examples in there. Free shipping thresholds was one of them. Buy one, get one was another one. Bundles was another one. So there are lots of examples in there of things that you can offer, Black Friday specials. No other time of the year is this available, but make it compelling. That's the key. And this last one is a major pet peeve of mine. So what you'll see a lot of stores do is that they'll say, hey, Black Friday, our sales are going to be running from midnight on Black Friday until almost midnight on Cyber Monday. And then guess what happens rolling around Tuesday morning? Hey, Black Friday sale extended 1 more day or 2 more days. These sales extensions erode trust. It basically communicates that your sales deadlines aren't really deadlines. And if you're lying about that, what else are you lying about? Like it calls your integrity into question. So you should put hard boundaries on your sales. Offer it at the beginning, stop it at the end, send reminders toward the end. Say, hey, when the sale's over, we are not extending the sale. Like communicate it very clearly and let them know it's now or never. So, and when it's over, make sure it's over. Again, this erodes trust if you do this kind of behavior. I see it happen a lot. I know it increases some sales, but don't do it. I don't think it works well with your brand long term. All right. Now that's a lot, and that's a wrap. Because, of course, it can't end on anything but a dad pun, given that I have 3 teenagers. Yes. So let's wrap it up here with one other story. And I really didn't mean to make that pun twice, but I did. So this one is not a horror story about Black Friday here. This one is a little more heartwarming. So this goes back to 2008, and a mother and son were standing outside all night at Best Buy so that they can get a deal on a gaming console. So Best Buy is super organized about this. If you've ever stood in line, they always pass out little vouchers for people at the front of the line and the doorbusters. And when the vouchers are gone, that's it. So that way, when people get inside, it's not too crazy and people aren't pushing and shoving. The voucher is how you get the thing, and that's it. So those in the front of the line got to pick first. This couple was about 12 back from the front. They had laptops for $299 and $499 and $699 and some other great prices. So they get 5 to 6 people past this place in line. So maybe right around 18 to 20. And a lady is asking for the $299 laptop deal. And the clerk says, unfortunately, they only have the $499 deal left. So this poor woman starts to cry. She's starting night school. She tells the clerk the story and says she can't afford the $499 laptop and that she's been waiting all night. And she'd only gotten there very shortly after the mother and son that were standing in line. So from the front of the line, a complete stranger hears the story, walks back, pulls a wad of money out of his wallet and says, I knew I brought so much cash for a reason. Peels off $200, hands it to this woman, walks back to his spot in line. Everybody's losing at this point. And they kept asking the lady, do you know him? No, I have no idea who he is. Did you see that? A guy gave this woman $200. So Black Friday is not all about negative stories. There are some positive things that come out of it here. And so I want to leave you with that today, that I hope you have a wildly successful Black Friday and a holiday season this year, whether you're shopping or selling or both. And I hope that the stuff that we've talked about here today will help you ease that stress and make it a lot better. So again, my name is Dave Rodenbaugh. I am the founder of Recapture. We do email and SMS marketing for e-commerce, WooCommerce, Magento, Shopify, BigCommerce, all the major platforms out there. We are a great solution if you love simplicity and you want something that's easy to use to just get this done. Remember, email marketing is something that's always kind of in the back of your mind, but you rarely have a lot of time to do it. So we try to make that very easy for you to accomplish. If you're not one of the store owners that has a big budget for this, or you're running an agency to do your email, to manage that, we're a perfect solution for that. You can reach out to me if you have questions. Here's my email and our website. But I want to talk to you about the 4 bonuses that we're offering here today. So first of all, bonus number 1, I'm going to give you a copy of all of these slides. So if you didn't take notes or you missed something, don't worry, you get a copy of the slides. Bonus number 2, I have a full PDF that has Black Friday mails. It has a checklist. We have a guide. There's timing that goes on in here. All of the things you're going to need in order to make the perfect Black Friday emails that I've hinted at and discussed in this class. Okay. But wait, that's not all. We also have a discount to use our service Recapture. We'll give you 50% off the first 90 days of your paid account there. So again, we don't normally offer this. This is something that is special for the attendees of this masterclass here. But there's one more thing as well. So if all of this overwhelms you and you're like, oh, geez, Dave, I just want this done. I don't have time to do it. Can you do it for me? The answer is yes, we can. I have 4 special slots available. And normally we offer this service at $1,000. For the first 4 people that sign up for our done for you email marketing service, we will give it to you for $500 this year. First 4 people only. And now what do you get for this done for you email marketing? We will help set up your abandoned cart emails. We will optimize your post-purchase emails. We'll help you set up winbacks. We'll help you get with broadcasts. We will optimize and do the content. We'll talk to you about your audience. We will personalize things. We'll help you segment stuff. We will do it all for $500. Again, normally it's twice as much, and we don't offer all of those things for that same package. But if you sign up for it before September 1st, we will give it to you for $500. And with that, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's come here today. So you can use that magic QR code on the screen, scan that. That'll take you to this URL right here, recapture.io/nexus-BFCM, and you can sign up there. All you have to do is enter in your name, your email, and then tell me which of those bonuses you want. You can have as few as 1 or as many as all 4. So you let me know. But thank you for your time today. I hope it was very valuable, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen.
That was amazing, Dave. If anyone has any questions, please pop them in the chat. Sherry asked if we're going to have a recording available. And of course, we'll have a recording. That will be available over at nexus.net/live. We'll link you right over to, because YouTube gives you big, ugly addresses, and I don't want to read it out here, but there'll just be a button you can click there, and it'll take you right over. And the replay will be on YouTube. So There's no special hoops for you to jump through. Just go to nexus.net/live, and you can find the replay to this and to our previous live stream. And you'll see also any other upcoming live streams that we're planning. And we have quite a few planned. So please bookmark that site, nexus.net/live, for the replay. Let's see. I have two questions. The first question, while other people are thinking and typing, let's take a look at this. Do these strategies work for subscription-based e-commerce stores, like a subscription box, or book of the month club, coffee businesses, a subscription fruit company? I used to subscribe to this Baby Bell subscription box company. These strategies work for those kinds of businesses, or what might you tweak and make it a little different?
The answer is yes, they do work, but a subscription business is a slightly different beast.
Correct.
So when you are doing a subscription business, you have to consider the fact that the reason people subscribe is because they know, like, and trust your business. And if you haven't established those three things yet, you have to do something to establish those three things. So when I talked about segmenting earlier, remember I said keep your segmenting simple. It is absolutely critical that you do this in a subscription company. So let's take coffee, hypothetically, for somebody who might be selling coffee.
Somebody, yeah.
Don't know anybody who's selling coffee. So you basically have two segments. You have people who've never bought from you before and people who have bought from you. And from the people that have bought from you, they split into two different other categories. They're currently subscribing or they're not subscribing. So for the non-buyers, your goal should be, as a subscription business, get them to buy one time.
Okay.
One time. That first time is critical. And then at that point, you've got to make sure they're successful with your product. They liked it. Ask them to review it. Ask them what they think about it. All of those things. Have a great post-purchase follow-up sequence. Educate them about the product. Give them some resources to use with the product. So if you're doing a coffee thing, sell the first purchase with something like coffee related products, right? Here's some drip filters you can use with it. Here's a special drip machine that you get for free on your first purchase. Something that's going to make them want to use the product more. That's key. Once you've established that your product is good, once you've established that they like it, that's the time to start hitting them up for a subscription. So your non-buyers, you just want to get them to buy. Your buyers that don't have a subscription, those are the ones you want to badger to say, hey, you've tried this. Why don't you do a subscription? For Black Friday this year, we are offering a one-time deal. We will not offer this any other time of the year. We will give you X% off this subscription for these days only. Sign up now. That's it. That's what I would do on a subscription for Black Friday. Don't offer that subscription any other time of the year. Again, make it compelling, make it unique, make it urgent.
Love that. Second question. Should my discounts be scheduled according to my time zone, my store's time zone, or should it be flexible according to the customer's time zone, wherever they're shopping from? So that could be, the discount ends an hour later for somebody on a different time zone, or an hour earlier.
Yeah. So I am a big fan of simplicity. And so Ken just forwarded me an email the other day from a company called Field Notes. And I've seen this play out in other emails as well. But Field Notes was the one that specifically did this recently, so it's sticking in my mind. They specifically call out a sale in the Chicago time zone to say this sale ends at Chicago's times at midnight, period.
Yeah.
When it's done, it's done. I like that because I'm smart enough to be able to figure out, I live in the mountain time zone. That's an hour earlier. If I want to do this, I have to have it done by 11 p.m. So I like simplicity. Yeah. Trying to figure out what time zone your customer's in, that's extra complexity. Maybe your email tool does it. Maybe they're going to be reliable about it. Time zone math is hard for computers to get right everywhere. And people live in weird time zones, and
Yep.
people have states that are split into multiple time zones. Don't make it complicated. Just say it's done by this time in this time zone. You could say Eastern time, Pacific time, whatever. You pick the time zone. Keep it simple. End the sale then. Call it good. Don't make it more complicated than that.
Awesome. I got a question from somebody in the chat. Mark is asking, let me pull this up. I know what you said about discounting, but is it worth it to offer a loss leader, for lack of a better term, at say 10% over my cost, just to draw people in?
Excellent question. So in the discounting and profitability masterclass that we talked about in June, I actually didn't talk about loss leaders in there, Ken, which is, can you believe that? That's kind of surprising. That's an important thing to do. But if you have a loss leader, that implies two things. So number one, you know your numbers. So that's good because you know you're selling this at a loss.
Yes.
That's
applause,
okay.
Applause.
If number two, yeah, clap, clap, golf clap.
Yes, yes.
If number two, you also know that customers come in for N additional purchases after that. If you're selling a loss leader and your purchase frequency is less than 2, you are losing money. If you are selling a loss leader and your purchase frequency is well above 2, that is absolutely acceptable. But again, you need to know your numbers to pull that off. So you can make that work. In fact, loss leaders are a standard discount strategy in e-commerce to draw people in on that first thing, get them hooked on the product. But you have to communicate the value to make them want to pay full price after that. And that's the trick. So if you offer too big of a discount on that loss leader, like 30%, that first full price purchase stings quite a bit.
Yep.
So be careful about your loss leaders. Again, know your numbers, know your customers' behavior, know the purchase frequency. You can make it work with all of that. But if you don't know your numbers, don't do loss leaders.
I might also add that you have to know your customer's journey. And make sure that your email campaigns are in line with all of these factors. So if a customer comes in on a loss leader sale and you're hoping that they'll come back and buy full price some of your other products, but what do we often do as a store owner? We follow that first email up with another email that offers them more discounts. And so we never ever realize that, that magical future where customers are buying from our full price, they're just on the discount IV drip, for lack of a better term. And the only way, suddenly we get them into a situation where the only way we can entice them back to the store is through more discounts. So just be very careful that you're intentional about it.
And the other thing that I would say is this is where segmenting is key. So you need to segment never bought and bought before minimally in order to pull this off. Because when somebody's bought before, you want to give them a very different journey than those who've never bought in the first place, because that's where you're offering your loss leader. You don't want that showing up again, because guess what? They'll buy it again if they can. So make sure that you've segmented on a loss leader. Make sure that you understand your customer's journey. Make sure that you know your numbers. So that's what I would say about that. That's a great question, Mark.
All right. Mark, let us know in the chat if that answered it for you. If anybody else, we've got a few dozen people watching today. So if anybody else has a question, let us know.
And if for some reason you don't want to ask the question in public, which I can understand, I have introvert children who don't like to be singled out in public settings. Exactly. So you can absolutely send a question to me via my private email, david@recapture.io. Or you can communicate on Twitter. I'm available on there at Dave Rodenbaugh. We'll put all of that stuff in the description of the live stream, I hope. Right, Ken?
Okay. Yeah, it will all be there. Mark says, thanks. Appreciate the thorough answer. And Sherry says, awesome. So I think we did it. I think we're there, Dave. I think we've arrived.
I think so as well.
Should I put your contacts slide back up?
Yeah,
So we
let's do
have it.
one last time here. So for those, and I'll put this full screen so you can see the whole thing.
Yeah.
So again, if you want those 4 bonuses, you've got to go to this URL, either type it in or scan the QR code here and
Yeah.
tell me what you want. And again, you don't have to get it all. You don't have to get a recapture account. That's not required. I just want to be helpful and make sure that you and your store are successful this Black Friday. That's my number one goal about running recapture as a service and being in e-commerce in general. So please let me know how I can help. And again, I want to say thanks and wish you all the best Black Friday that you've ever had.
Thanks everybody for joining us. I put that URL into the chat so you can copy and paste it. Otherwise, take a screenshot, use your phone's camera, and use the QR code that's on your screen. Thanks so much for spending your lunch hour with us today, and hope we see you on the next one. I think that's it for today. Thanks,
Take
Dave.
care. Thank you, Ken.
Bye, everybody.